Hey everybody. Hope your Thursday this February is going well. We're almost to the weekend. Congratulations. And thanks for joining our session today, Scaffolding Success. So we're going to be talking about using playlists to guide learner progress. I'm Stephanie Gates. If you don't know me yet, I'm a customer success manager with PlayPosit, which is powered by Lead Video. And our session today is going to go through just like a general overview of what PlayPosit is and specifically the playlist application, and then how those playlists can scaffold student success. We're going to have an opportunity to look at an example and then kind of take a look at how we build that example out as well. We have lots of resources to support you. As we go through our session today, please feel free to put your questions into the chat. My colleague Dylan will be in here ready to answer any questions that you guys have. So please make this as interactive as you want. So we'll get started with the PlayPosit overview and playlist specifically. If you're new to PlayPosit is really an interactive video suite. It helps you take your passive video watching experience up and make that interactive. So if you're using video hosts like Vimeo, YouTube, there's lots of them like Panopto, Kaltura, Canvas Studio, to name a few of the bigger names. You can take those video sources and add PlayPosit onto those as a layer of interactivity. We have lots of different question types. You can add resources. You can personalize instruction with branching and jumping. There's a whole lot of possibilities when you leverage PlayPosit with your interactive videos. But a really great perk of using it as well is that you get to see how learners are doing across not just this video watching experience, right, but this now interactive lesson, so that you can inform your next steps of instruction. And something I don't think gets mentioned enough, which is really valuable, is the ability to reuse this content and edit it over time without having to make copies and relink things. So there's, of course, time. We all want to save time. So we try to make that as low lift for you as possible. PlayPosit has lots of different applications as well. So this, to name a few of our asynchronous ones, so ones that learners can access kind of on their own time, would be self-paced bulbs. A bulb is just kind of a term of ours for an interactive video. There's also learner-made bulbs, so you can kind of put that video creation, or that interactive video creation, in the hands of learners, so they can either annotate videos or they can create that interactive video for maybe like a skills demonstration and submit that to the instructor. The one, of course, we're going to spend the most time on today is playlists. And playlists are kind of a really neat way to contain, organize, and deliver those maybe multiple interactive videos, but also other resources in very interactive and kind of comprehensive way. So we're going to take a deep dive into that and see what all the possibilities are. And then the final one is our synchronous delivery option, which is broadcast, which allows you to take that interactive video and create an audience response system with it. Well, let's take a look at an example of this and how we can use playlists to scaffold student success. So the kind of idea from this session came from a recent resource that we've put out. Maybe you've seen an email come out about this, but this was our PlayPosit Creator course. And this course has been structured in a way that scaffolds your learning process, starting with direct instruction, moving on to a tutorial, and ending with an opportunity for learners to practice. So walking our participants through these three kind of core strategies that you see up here has allowed us to take the interactive video and promote student engagement and improve those learning outcomes. And then this idea of scaffolding learning is to first provide direct support and instruction and end with learner independence, right? Our goal in taking this approach for the Creator Challenge was to first show what's possible and then give instruction on how to achieve those outcomes with PlayPosit. We don't stop there because, right, as educators, we know that it's the practice and the application of material that solidifies learning and also builds confidence for our learners. So we added in this practice component as well. The result of this PlayPosit Creator Challenge was pretty great. So we got a lot of participant feedback on this. We added in a survey at the end. And the part I want to share with you is how effective participants found this. So we've seen that 94% have responded that the modules were either effective or very effective in helping learners understand the material. I want to give you a chance to play around with this, not because I'm trying to shamelessly plug the Creator Challenge, but because I think this is a great example, right, of how you can take this structure and use it to your advantage and maybe in academic instruction, in maybe internal trainings that you're running for maybe their technical trainings or other, or if you're delivering professional development, right? All of these areas would be helpful to have that scaffolded approach to allow your audience to take it from learning to actual application of what you're trying to teach. So I'm going to put a link for this activity into the chat. One thing to know about this link is you have to be signed into PlayPosit. So if you have an instructor account, just make sure you're signed into that. If you have any trouble logging into PlayPosit, you can also just create a free student account for the purpose of this activity. Just find that create student account option. I'm also going to show up here on my screen the example, just in case you have any trouble getting logged in. Give me 1 second to adjust my screen sharing. Okay, hopefully you're able to see this all right. So this is the PlayPosit Creator Challenge. I'm going to start it up here at the top. That's built into a PlayPosit playlist. So on the very left-hand side, you should see a table of contents. And this is broken out into a few different modules. We have really 3 core modules within this playlist, starting with question sets, peer learning, and then resource enhanced video. We added a couple on to just introduce this resource and then to get feedback from this in the form of a survey. But you'll notice a very similar pattern throughout this challenge, which is every core module starts with an example with our learning outcomes. It then goes into a tutorial of how to reach those learning outcomes and then an opportunity to practice. So if you're playing around with this, if you're able to access that link, you're going to be starting out with first that intro, of course, but then into this question set example. And I'll also note that you can't actually access any of these further modules until you complete each line item, and you'll see like once it's complete, a little check mark will appear. The other ones are kind of locked. That's a setting that you can apply. You can kind of keep this open so learners can pick and choose what to start and end with, or you can keep it in a, like a locked format or locked progression so they have to go one by one. But in this question sets example, in our case, right, this is instructing users on how to use the tool in an effective approach. The first one being how to build out question sets in a PlayPosit bulb. So the participant, right, is just walking through this example. For you, if you're teaching a course, this might be a how-to, and you're giving an example. Maybe you're doing a presentation on something. You could even have a third-party YouTube video as your demonstration, or maybe it's a recording that you have, or even like a lecture that you have. We're kind of starting with that exemplar, and then we're working from there. So you can click into this and review it if you want to, or we can move on to the next section. The next section being the question sets tutorial. So for us, we used PlayPosit. Let me retake this so we can see. We used PlayPosit to do this tutorial. So we recorded ourselves doing a walkthrough of how to build out the previous example, and then gave some interactions along the way to kind of help bridge any gaps that might have been there. Let me turn that off. So we have the recording, then we also have interactions with step-by-steps, sequences, and then resources included as well. And then the final thing here, which I really think is the most important, is the opportunity to practice this, right? Like that's really what's going to allow you to retain that knowledge and apply it in the future. And so PlayPosit, as I mentioned before, has an application called Learner-Made Bulbs. And so you're putting that power of creating the interactive videos into learner hands. This is kind of what that looks like. So when they get to a learner-made bulb in a playlist, they're first going to see your set of directions, which are just short and sweet. Like here are your main things that you need to make sure you do within this activity. And once they hit I understand, they're moving into selecting that video source. It's very exact same flow as the instructor flow, right? You're picking a video, you're going into adding in those interactions or annotations, and then they're submitting this to the instructor. So for example, if I was gonna grab my video here and practice, maybe this is a video they already put onto YouTube, or if you have video hosting in your license and PlayPosit, they could record right here and add that in. Then they can go into adding interactions, or they can just submit that video to you here. And you can set this up as like a complete incomplete. So as long as they submit something, they're getting full credit. Or you can configure it where you need to grade it in order for them to move on. So that's kind of in a nutshell, right? Every module here is going to be the same structure. At the very end, we put in a survey. But then once everything is complete in this playlist, automatically a certificate gets awarded. So if everything is checked off the list here, the student receives that. That's optional. You don't have to have a certificate. And if you have this linked within a learning management system like D2L or Canvas, then you can also have this set up to have a grade automatically synced with your learning management system's gradebook. All right, I'm going to do a quick screen switch over here. There we go. So let's take a look, kind of pop the hood and see what steps are required to make this a real life working tool for you. So I'm going to go into my PlayPosit account, and I encourage you to do the same. So if you have your instructor account available, open that up and we can kind of do this side by side. You will know, I forgot to mention this before, playlist application are not in everybody's license. You will know if you have this available to you because on the left-hand panel, you'll see a tab that says playlist on here. If you're interested in adding that and you don't see it already, you can reach out to our team, which is success@wevideo.com, and we can take a look at that for you. But to get to it, go ahead and toggle over here to your panel, click on playlists, and then we're going to be adding a new playlist. So here is the behind the scenes. I always start with just putting a title into that. And then you can even pick a color for kind of like your wrapper of the playlist if you want. So that updates kind of all the branding around it. But once we, oh, it doesn't look like my title's stuck there. Perfect. Once we have in our title, my next step here is to come in and add the number of modules that I want. So for our example, we added in 5 modules, including, an introduction, we had kind of 3 main topics. You can add as many here as you need. And then we had a survey and certificate. In each of these modules, you have the ability to add in bulbs or add other. And your add other opens up this kind of menu of you can add in attachments, including your PDFs, your docs. You can pull in a website, so you can just grab the URL and paste it into this line here. Or there's an add text item section. I personally like to copy and paste text over here because it's a little bit of a small workspace. So I'll just type away whatever information I want, paste it over here. All the formatting will transfer over for you. So this is where we gave our introduction, right? Kind of our step-by-step how to navigate this training or this lesson, whatever you think this would be helpful for. So all you do is add a title for your text item, add in your text here, and voila, we've got that up and running. For each of those topics, we can do the same thing. Like my preference, of course, is to add in those interactive videos or those bulbs to help walk through the examples and the tutorials and those practice opportunities. But you can also add in, maybe like a website has a really great tutorial of how to do something, right? Like you don't always have to create from scratch. You can reuse what's out there and available to you. But you're going to kind of follow that same approach, right? We're going to start from the most direct instruction and end with having learners really take the reins and show you their learning. So for me, I'm going to add in bulbs that I already have created. For example, we are releasing a new round of the PlayPosit Creator Challenge this month, and that's all on choice-based learning. So I have an example here. I'm going to hit this button to kind of put it into the queue, but I can add more as well. I don't have to do this one at a time. So next up, I'm going to have my tutorial. And then finally, I'm going to pull in my practice. I don't see it showing up right away, so I'm going to search for it. My choice-based learning practice. This looks a little bit different from the other ones, the thumbnail does, because this is a learner-made bulb. And so this is what that icon is suggesting. So I'm adding those over, and now they're showing up in my topic 1. If you don't already have content created and you're needing to build that into, you can actually create new bulbs right from within your playlist designer here. You can either hit this button for add new bulb, or this is my approach also for creating that learner-made bulb activity. To create that learner-made bulb activity, it's very simple. You're just kind of creating an assignment, essentially. You're putting in the title. You're giving some short lesson objectives or instructions. And then you can even open up some advanced settings as well. So that includes the point value that you want to assign to it, whether or not you want learners to be able to use your institution's private video hosts, like maybe that's Kaltura or Pronapto. And if your PlayPosit license includes video creation or uploading and hosting, you can also toggle this on where learners can record, right into PlayPosit and submit that as part of their learner-made bulb. And this was that final setting I was mentioning where you can enable complete or incomplete grading. So as long as they submit something, they're going to get full credit and be able to move on within this playlist. So we would do that for each of the topics. And then as we are finishing up, let's say we've added to topic 2, we've added those bulbs or examples, tutorials, practice opportunities to topic 3. My approach was to add in a survey and a certificate, right? That survey could come as maybe you have it like a Google form. It could be a bulb you've created with poll questions. Wherever you have that and you want to pull it in, you can do that. And then for your certificate, if that is useful for you, you can create that certificate right here in PlayPosit by opening your certificate settings. So you'll enable it, and then you'll see there are a few ways that you can customize this. For example, we can pull in a playlist badge. So let me grab a badge for us. Here we've got our PlayPosit Creator badge. You can have a certificate as well. I mean, a signature. That's the one I meant. You can have a signature, and then you can put in a message if you want to. Like sometimes that's, congratulations, you completed your playlist. And then the final toggle that you're seeing up here is something that's a little bit newer to PlayPosit. So you can actually decide if you want learners to be able to access the certificate ahead of the learner-made bulbs being graded or not. So for example, if you have that complete incomplete grading, like this is not a toggle that you would need. But if you want to do manual grading of those submissions, you can decide, hey, maybe I want to go ahead and do the grading before their certificate is made available to them. What this certificate looks like is like this. So it'll pull in that badge that we uploaded. Here's the signature, and then it's automatically going to populate your date, the name of the student, how many modules were included, the title of your playlist. All that important information gets automatically updated for you. And they'll also get a URL where their certificate is hosted. So they can print this, they can have the URL for it. You can have them copy and save this badge for themselves. So, and then it's very hands-off for you, right? They're just getting awarded this automatically. So once we have our kind of scaffolded playlist complete, and then you can save and exit. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can deploy this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now it's in my playlist library here. And then let's talk about some next steps here. Right, you might be using this for academic instruction. Maybe you're considering this for your remote technical training, for your tech stack. Maybe this is for just being able to scale your time and energy for professional development and learning that you need to deploy. There are a few different ways that you can get this out to your intended audience. So one, if you're using a learner management system, for example, Blackboard, Canvas, Brightspace, and you have PlayPosit installed in that LMS, then you can link this inside that LMS exactly the same way as you would for a bulb, right? Like one grade can get passed to your LMS for the whole playlist. And you can monitor the results from there as well. If you're not planning on using a learner management system for this, and that could be for various reasons. Either you don't have a learning management system, or your audience isn't all together in that system, right? Maybe it's outside of your, outside of those needs. Then you can also give this playlist out in a link, in a QR code. You can embed this on a website. So it's very flexible in how you give this out. And you can monitor the student progress from within PlayPosit. So we're just essentially putting this into a little PlayPosit class where all that data is going to be collected for you. And then speaking of data, if you're familiar with using bulbs and monitoring your bulb data, it's going to be very similar, except just like a little bit of a tier higher. Let me show you what I mean by that. So you have a monitor page still. And this is some of the data that will be collected. You're going to see the learner name first and foremost. Then you're going to see their score on this playlist so far, the time that they've spent on the activity, if it's complete, if it's in progress, or if they haven't started it yet. And then each of the activities here listed are the bulbs that have been assigned. And so you can click on any of the titles for the bulbs that are in the monitor page to be taken to that specific bulbs data. So for example, if I were to click on question sets example, I would then go into the monitor page for that activity specifically, and I'll have all the same information available. So you can kind of look at it from the playlist point of view. You can look at it from a bulb level if you would rather. You can get lots of information that you're looking for. So I want to talk about resources. So if you are wanting to try this out and you're feeling like you need a little extra help, we have our customer resource page, first and foremost, with our PlayPosit Academy. We have, of course, lots of our webinars, our use cases, but the biggest one I want to mention that might be helpful for next steps would be our office hours. So twice a week, we have half an hour of time. I know it's a little misleading as we say office hours, but we actually dedicate 30 minutes twice a week where one of our teammates is on a Google Meet ready to be of assistance. And so please take us up on this resource. So that's Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, or on Thursdays needs to be updated. It's actually 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And you can just have some help. So whether that's you're running into an issue or you just want some hand holding on getting started, we're here for all of it. And we are also available just by email too. So feel free to use that. We have lots of help articles as well. If you're not sure how to access this customer resource page, you can get to it in a couple of different ways. Either you go to your account here and click on customer resources from within your left-hand panel, or I'm going to grab this link for you and put it into the chat, and you can go there directly without having to log in. So again, here are those office hours times. And if you are interested in checking out either the PlayPosit Creator 1 that we showed, right, that link is in the chat, or if you want to try out our next PlayPosit Creator that we're unfolding right now, every month we're releasing a new module, you can also try this one out. I'll put this into the link or into the chat, the link into the chat for you also, if I can copy it. There we go. So if you have any questions on this, some follow-up questions, you can reach out to me directly. It's Stephanie@wevideo.com. There we go. I'm also going to stick around for a couple more minutes just to make sure no other questions come into our chat. And we're happy to answer anything that you has come up for you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy Friday, Junior. Happy Baby Friday. I hope you have a great weekend.